and welcome back. Sheffield Wednesday Nostalgia Show here. We're in the distinguished company of one of the most iconic players of the Owls' modern history, Tommy Craig. I hope you enjoyed his many memories in part one. We've got loads more to get through in part two. Joined as well by another Tommy Craig, two for the price of one, the ex-Coronation Street actor, whose actual name, I've written it down, is Craig Thompson, but he goes by the name of Tommy Craig on stage and answers to Tom. And we have John Dyson, the author of the very popular book, The Owl's Our Lowest Ebb, which is selling well. It's a cracking read. But we're also joined in part two by one of Tommy Craig's biggest fans, who remembers him back in the day as a young teenager. He's one of the original members, I think, of the London Owls supporters group, an ex-TV producer subsequently. Talking about Vernon Grant. Hello, Vernon. Good
day. How are we all? It's been a pleasure.
You're very well.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure to not only see but hear Tommy Craig speak. It's just like takes me back.
Thank you, Vernon.
Tell me what.
Oh my word! Excuse me. Sorry.
Tell me what Tommy Craig, the player, means to you, then, Vernon.
Oh my word! If I close, well, I think why was he an idol? I had ginger hair when you went to school in the 60s or 70s. It wasn't fashionable to have ginger hair. You were mocked at school. Ginger nut, carrot head, all that sort of business. There he is, my man. My idol had red hair. I had red hair. So when I played for the school team, I was Tommy Craig in my head anyway. And I had a deft left foot. Or years later, the great John Childs saw me play and said I had a deft left foot. And that's why Tommy Craig was standing on the Kop. I mean, John's book is excellent, really well researched. But some people talk about the Kop when it was open to all the elements not being a good experience. Personally, I loved it in all weathers.
Yeah,
I loved it. And if I close my eyes now, I see that man, Tommy Craig, stepping up to take a penalty, slotting it away and coming up to the fans and saluting the fans. And that just takes me back. The left foot was just the passing. You know, Tommy's passing was just, well, the best I'd seen at Hillsborough, obviously, in those days. And as he said, you know, it was a big thing signing for 100,000. You know, who is this lad come down from Scotland? £100,000. I mean, it was such a lot of money then, but worth every penny. My only thing I'd forgotten, which John's excellent book reminded me of, was typical Wednesday. We only made 20,000 on the man. We bought him for. We bought him for 100 and sold him cheaply for 120. After 5.5 years, I think.
Yeah.
Raises a point. You've raised a point there, Vernon, with a struggling team in a move that, from a career point of view, wasn't working out. Why then, Tommy, did you stay so long?
Yeah.
That's on me. I loved playing for Wednesday. I really, really enjoyed playing for Wednesday and going through the hard times with them. And people ask me often, did the fee worry you at all? No, it didn't. It didn't worry me at all. But when I faced the crowd, something within me saying, these people are here to watch you play. So the way that I handled it was I give everything I've got. I give everything I've got during a game, whether you're playing good, bad, or indifferent. I'm going to give it my all. And the Wednesday fans recognise that, and I think that's why they held on to me for so long. I mean, I had bad games like anyone else, but whenever I had a good game, they were falling over themselves to congratulate me. They're a special breed.
This must have surprised you to a degree, with the team losing consistently, that you were getting such good vibes back.
Yeah, and it also hurt because these people need something to hang on to, and they were looking to me quite rightly. You know, a lot of money coming down here, a lot of money with regard to the fee, I owed them. I'm not giving you any rubbish here. I owed them, at least I owed them a performance. And when I took to the field, I tried to give them everything I had.
Well, in many cases nowadays, that would be an outdated view, Tommy Craig, actor.
Really? Well, sometimes you watch Wednesday these days and you don't think that everybody's giving their all. But, you know, I mean, as an actor, I can see what Tommy's talking about. When you go on stage, it doesn't matter how you're feeling, whether you're feeling under the weather or not very well, or you're not feeling up for it, you have to perform because people have paid the money. It totally makes sense.
Yeah, by outdated, I meant that doesn't come up to date with modern standards and attitudes of players in many cases. So I agree with both of you.
Alan, I think when I left Wednesday, I didn't receive any negativity from the fans at all. It was a thank you, which actually made me fill up a bit, because you know we still hadn't given them anything like near silverware, and I think they were grateful for the effort, and I was more than grateful for the support.
Yeah. Vernon, again, you know, that era was an era of personalities as well. During the break, and we'll bring some of this to the show now, we were talking about Willie Henderson. You know, what Vernon watching, you know, this guy, a famous player, you know, from north of the border, and another huge crowd favourite. Vernon, to you, before we talk about what the guy was like in the dressing room.
Oh, a wizard. I mean, just a wizard on the wing. I mean, we sang, you know, we had chants for him. He just lifted, I think he lifted the spirit of the fans. An incredible character, as Tommy will no doubt reveal off it. But for perhaps, what can I say, perhaps for the Chris Waddle generation, albeit Willie was knocking on a bit in years, you knew if he went down that wing, the defenders wouldn't know what had hit them. I mean, there were matches where he would just have fun, you know, Terry Curran like, Chris Waddle like, with two defenders on him. And yes, we knew he was past his best, and yes, we knew he was a bit of a party animal off the pitch, but it was a joy to watch, an absolute joy to watch Willie Henderson on the wing.
Yeah, I think he was only 28 when he come to Wednesday. He weren't that old.
Bloody
he
hell,
just didn't look like an athlete, did
he? No, and he had a certain reputation as well off the field. Just tell us what life was like socially, Tommy, at that time.
A hoot. An absolute hoot. He was a party animal. He wanted everybody within the group to be enjoying themselves on that particular night. Never, nothing negative about him at all. Nothing at all. And he wanted to do a duet with a young up and coming Lulu who visited Hillsborough all those years ago, and we had the duo perform in the dressing room, and he got a great round of applause.
Yeah, and of course the Scottish national product must have been well used at the time around Hillsborough. Can imagine.
Yeah, very much so. Very, very much so.
That might explain some things.
John Dyson, you spoke to Willie Henderson, and through you, I've also spoken to Willie Henderson quite recently. And for a man of his age, he's incredibly fit and enthusiastic, got such a zeal for life. So clearly the Scottish national product hasn't done him any harm.
Can't have done him any harm in the slightest. He's off touring the Himalayas next year. In the sadness of Willie's stories, his daughter died at a relatively young age, in her 20s, of cervical cancer, and he's dedicated a lot of his time since to raising money for cervical cancer awareness and for buying machinery for hospitals and whatever else. And the latest thing he's up to is training for a trek through the Himalayas. I believe he's 77 when he's going to be doing it. It's amazing, really. And the guy, like you say, an absolute zeal for life. Loved his time at Wednesday. Absolutely loved it. Loved the fans. Loved how the people of Sheffield looked after him, should we say? And a thoroughly good guy.
Yeah. Tommy Craig, actor, you touched on it just now. You can associate with footballers, not just because you're a football fan yourself, but you're a performer yourself. You know, you're talking about giving 100% on stage, and do you find within your business as well that there are people within it that you look at and you think you're not quite giving it everything here?
No, I don't think so. No, most actors, if you don't give your all, you lose your job. You know what I mean? Especially on TV, you've got to know what you're doing. You've got to know your lines. You've got to have done your own work. Else it's no good. I mean, I think there's players can hide a little bit. Tommy will tell you that. I'm sure you played in games when players are hiding. But on a TV set or in the theatre, you can't really hide.
No hiding place. And how much, before we go back to football, how badly have you been affected, might be a stupid question, by what we're all going through? I mean, there's a huge crisis. If we're not careful, we're going to lose that part of the entertainment industry. Yeah,
I mean, I was supposed to be in Canada 2 months ago to do a TV show that I've been doing for the last 12 years. And it's been postponed till August the 4th. So hopefully I'll be flying out to Toronto 3 weeks tomorrow. But it's one of them things, as an actor, when you're out of work, you're always like, why has he got a job? Who's doing this? Who's doing that? But at the minute, everybody's out of work. So it's been a bit like everybody I've spoke to is all like a bit relaxed about it.
Yeah, you can see TV carrying on or returning, but, you know,
I think it'll be a long time before theatre comes back.
Yeah, I think it will be, very sadly. Yeah. In the meantime, we're watching football behind closed doors. Now then, I went to Hillsborough last weekend, and you know what a surreal experience it was. How would you have felt about playing behind closed doors, Tommy? Did you ever experience it?
No, not in my career. At the outset of the decision to play behind closed doors, I was a little bit. I don't know if that's going to work. It's a bit false. But what I have enjoyed is someone came up with a great idea of playing the crowd, the roars of the crowd, and the humdrum of the crowd during a match. Now, as a player, I think that's a good thing to have the volume, if you like, turned up. And I hope they don't try and do too much to the game. You know, the thing about drinking halfway through the first half and halfway through the second half, giving them hydration. I hope we don't stop the game too often. I really don't.
Is it possible for a performer to perform at the same high pitch in an empty ground?
I think this is where you call upon everyone on the field to give everything they've got to make sure that it's still a spectacle for the fans back home. But it's not going to be right until we get it back. And who knows when that's going to be.
Yeah, it's not been much of a spectacle so far, I think, Tom.
This Tom.
Brave.
I mean, I tried. I watched the first game, Villa and United, and didn't we laugh when that goal didn't get given? Wasn't that great? So that's been the highlight up to now for me.
Well, it's certainly been the biggest talking, but me being a supreme diplomat would say it's certainly been the biggest talking point, without a doubt. And the biggest injustice, let's be honest. If it had happened to Sheffield, crikey.
Alan, I kind of cut in there. I can't recall the game or the player, but a player scored a goal midweek and turned in blue kisses to the crowd. I think it was just a natural reaction. He turned to these faces and held out his hands and blew them a kiss.
Yeah. Cardboard cutouts there are in many grounds. Talking crowds, Vernon, despite this very well-remembered era when Wednesday had these, some great players, let's be honest, but they were sliding inexorably downwards. the crowds got to, well, less than, didn't they? Talking about 7 and 8. And however depressing things might be at the moment, they're getting at least twice, or were getting more than twice that for championship games at Hillsborough. So there seems to be more match-going support now than there was then, do you think?
Yeah, I guess so. If you use those figures, I mean, yeah, it seems that way. But I mean, you had to be in the era that our Lois Webb book covers, and just before, you just had to be the most loyal of supporters. And actually, the bonuses to that era, for us coming from London, whether we were coming on the train or in a car, I mean, we came to match in a car. I remember once, one of the London Owls driving a car. We left a test match at Lord's at the lunch interval, and we parked outside the Cop, right opposite the Cop, and ran up the stairs and saw the kickoff. That tells you two things. One, how fast that particular person drove his car, and two, the fact that you could park anywhere you liked in those days and just stroll in. So that was a bonus. The Cop obviously wasn't packed, as I said before. It was open in all weathers. Loved it. But you knew you were amongst the loyalist of loyal fans. I mean, the crowds, as John's book says, went down to like 8,000. I remember getting excited when we played Mansfield at home, and it was 15,000 came up on the scoreboard. Wow, 15,000! That was a thing. And you know, there was a great run. I think Tommy Craig remembers, you know, winning at home 5-1 against Notts County, 5-0 against Cardiff. Yeah. Going to Leyton Orient and winning 1-0 thanks to Tommy Craig's goal. That was like an amazing run at the time. Wow, we're here. And I've always wanted to ask Tommy if he thought, but for the virus that closed down Hillsborough for 3 weeks, might we have just got promotion under Derek Dooley? I remember Tommy years ago on a telephone interview saying to me that, you know, they were on the brink of something, he thought then anyway. I just wonder if the virus did for us, that swept through Hillsborough and laid
possibly,
off so
many. Yeah, possibly, Vernon. Because Derek managed to turn things around quite quickly, and his impact on the dressing room was incredible. It really was. He managed to get the team a little bit more confident again, and he was a great one for, as I've said before. He wanted the Sheffield public to watch his team play proper football, which I enjoyed, and people like yourself reacted to that.
A lot of people in John's book say he was too nice to be a manager, Derek Dooley. What do you say?
Well, I understand what they're saying. I fully understand. If you put yourself in Derek's position, because of his disability, if you like. It actually took away a wee bit of the, what I call it, passion, because he couldn't demonstrate what he wanted on the training ground. And to say that he was too nice, I understand why people say it, but when Derek had to have a go at someone, he would clench his fist and go to the player's face. And tell him exactly what he wanted. He was a remarkable man. He really was.
Just relive, if you got time, Alan. Just relive quickly, Tommy, that day you told me once about years ago on the phone when he was sacked on Christmas Eve, where you were with Mick Prendergast in the dressing room, I think. Yeah.
I put a written transfer request in the following day,
right,
and it was a reaction. I felt it. The timing wasn't great. I understand that boardroom and directors have got to make certain decisions. I just felt at the time it was bad timing. And as I said to you, I handed in. I went to see Eric Taylor the following day, and handed in a request.
Well,
I thought a lot of the man. I really did. I thought a lot of the man.
Yeah, thank you for that brilliant question, Vernon, and that great answer, Tommy, because I maybe it's a gap in my memory or knowledge, but I wasn't aware of that the Derek Dooley sacking and the way it was conducted sparked the best player writing for a transfer.
I think Tommy once said to me it was the final straw.
It wasn't just a decision, it was the way it was handled, and the timing was absolutely awful. What have you, Thomas Craig actor, have you got memories of that particular day, and do you recall what you made of it?
Well, I was probably about 11, but I remember my dad being totally shocked and like disgusted. And I think it's Wednesday's probably lowest ebb of the lowest ebb, I think. Do you know what I mean? To sack an iconic figure who's well loved on Christmas Eve. And, you know, rightly, he had a great time at United, and he's well loved throughout Sheffield. I was at that game when he came back to Hillsbury in '92, I think, that night match when he was introduced to the crowd, and it was the first time he'd been back. It's quite an emotional night.
Indeed. John Dyson, in your book, it's quite clear, you know, that the massive impact that decision on Christmas Day, Christmas Eve had, and it's beyond belief that a board of directors, or maybe sadly it is within credibility, that board of directors would do something like that on such a day.
It is. I mean, there'd been a change in the boardroom previously. The chairman had swapped over, and the new guy perhaps wanted to make a little name for himself. I'm not so sure. The virus that Vernon mentioned, I think, was affecting the results. There were, I think, Derek had got a very good team together that season and a couple of seasons previously. But the virus seemed to knock that on the head, so the results weren't great. But to do it on Christmas Eve, I just think it's an appalling thing to do. And I think the shadow of that then hangs over the club for the years afterwards. Steve Burton-Shaw's got to pick up the pieces. With us, we've just heard unhappy players, Tommy, by the sounds of that. He's got to pick up the pieces. The shadow stays, and it's a downward spiral. And as the other Tommy said, I think it might well be the lowest of the lowest ebb, if there is such a thing.
Alan, can I just come back in again here? We all hear about what Derek Dooley was capable of as a player, and unfortunately, in his early 20s, his career came to an end. To be the kind of player that he was running over centre halves. He was running over fullbacks. He was a kind of Alan Shearer type player, very physical, take it and give it. I think he would have taken that into management if his disability hadn't happened. I really do. I mean, he was going to be a star by all accounts in any case. But I can easily see the man taking the reins, but for his disability.
Became a great administrator as well later on. Was a huge support to Sheffield United managers Dave Bassett and Neil Warner, who both won promotions, you know, and they gave a lot of credit to Derek Dooley there in the background. Just finally, you know, I can't believe our time has vanished. Tommy Craig actor, presumably you were one of those who got drenched or drowned on the cot back in those days. Was that your viewing position?
Yeah, it's funny, like Vernon says, it was such a great place to watch as a kid, and I always felt the atmosphere was fantastic, even though there was hardly anybody in the ground. I don't know if that's my memory playing tricks as a young kid, but I sometimes feel there was more of an atmosphere in the small crowd with the open cop than there is now, you know? Is that right, Vernon?
It is. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I mourned the day they covered the cop.
Well, there's a revolutionary project to end with. Uncover the cop. Mr. Shamsiris. He wouldn't have expected that, would he? But then again, we do have three redheads here in our little studio. and the red hair is still showing, Tommy. I can still see some of it.
By the way, it's a good end to score a goal at that end. It's a great end to score a goal.
Yeah.
True enough.
Vernon, I can't see the red particularly in yours. I can see some in Craig Thompson's, the alias Tommy Craig, our other Tommy Craig in the studio. John Dyson, you're far too young. Far too young. Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. I've really enjoyed this last hour. I want to thank you all. Thank you to everybody for watching. And I'll tell you what, we might repeat this next week because it's that good. We're going to take a week's break. I'll be back with another show, hopefully in some form or other, in a fortnight. Many thanks. Cheers, guys. Take care.
Thanks, Alan. Many thanks.
Thank you. Bye-bye.